Moscow escalates campaign against West. Unusual incidents involving European leaders raise questions. High-ranking Ukrainian official assassinated for the first time in history. We will tell you more in this episode, so you'll be in focus. Stay with us for the latest updates and exclusive reports. Moscow has intensified a broad-based information campaign aimed at undermining Western support for Ukraine and discouraging European participation in efforts to peacefully resolve the war. This is according to a recent report from the Institute for the Study of War. The Kremlin continues to accuse European countries of prolonging the war in Ukraine, while at the same time reviving nuclear threats against the West and asserting that Russia's victory is unavoidable. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov and Kirill Dmitriev, head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, both claimed that Europe allegedly wants the war to continue. On August 31st, Russian Security Council Deputy Chair Dmitry Medvedev used his account on X to lash out at French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, criticizing their country's involvement in the US-led efforts to end the war. Medvedev went as far as referencing US nuclear bombs in a threatening context, seemingly directed at France and Germany over their continued support for Ukraine. In an interview with German public broadcaster ZDF, Chancellor Friedrich Merz reaffirmed that Kyiv's partners are prioritizing support for Ukraine's military defense capabilities. When asked whether he expects a ceasefire agreement to be reached this year, Merz said he remains hopeful, though he has no illusions about the difficulty of achieving peace. Larissa Petruk continues the story.
The war Russia is waging against Ukraine must be stopped as soon as possible, but certainly not at the cost of Kyiv's capitulation. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz stated this in an interview with ZDF. He is confident that hostilities could end under two scenarios: a military defeat of one side or economic exhaustion. So far, neither side has reached this point, Merz added. However, this does not mean diplomatic efforts should cease.
We are making every effort to put an end to this terrible war, but all our efforts in recent weeks have met with an even more aggressive approach from the Moscow regime toward the Ukrainian people, and this will not stop until we unite to ensure that Russia can no longer sustain this war, at least for economic reasons, and possibly for military reasons as well, but in any case, for economic reasons.
Germany remains one of Ukraine's main partners in the military sphere. Berlin guarantees long-term military support for Kyiv, including funding for weapons procurement through 2029. Vice Chancellor and Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil stated that Germany commits to providing Ukraine with €9 billion annually for defense. Additionally, Germany plans to finance a $500 million package of American weapons and ammunition for Ukraine under the NATO Pearl program. The primary guarantee of Ukraine's security is its armed forces, Merz believes.
Kyiv needs reliable security guarantees. I envision a broad approach based on several principles. The most important principle is that Ukraine's armed forces must be continuously strengthened in terms of weaponry, funding, and training. Putin is clearly not ready to meet with President Zelensky. He sets conditions that are completely unacceptable. In a phone call with President Trump, he spoke very differently. I'm not surprised because such a strategy is part of Putin's approach.
The majority in the Bundestag also supports Kyiv. German parliamentarians are open to deploying German forces to ensure peace in Ukraine, but only under the condition of a long-term ceasefire. To express their support, leaders of two coalition factions in Germany arrived in Kyiv on September 1st. According to Deutsche Welle, the main topic of their discussions will be future security guarantees for Ukraine. This is the first joint visit by the leaders of the parliamentary groups of the Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union and the Social Democratic Party.
Not only the government stands firmly with Ukraine, but also the parliament, the majority in the parliament, the coalition factions. We, with Matthias Mirsch, are here to send a clear signal. The government factions of CDU/CSU and SPD stand with Ukraine now and will remain on the side of Ukraine, the brave Ukrainians who defend their homeland, their country, and also Europe in the future. Jens Spahn, leader of the CDU/CSU in the Bundestag, in a comment for Deutsche Welle.
Europe must increase pressure on the aggressor. The German government believes security guarantees for Kyiv must ensure that Russia cannot attack again in the future, according to Germany's foreign minister.
Germany is ready to take responsibility, including in terms of security guarantees. This was a topic at the foreign ministers' meeting in Copenhagen, and it will be a topic at the meeting in Paris on Thursday. Ukraine must be able to effectively and convincingly deter future aggression from Russia. We must move very quickly to concrete actions, and this was also stated by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
It is crucial that Ukraine's security guarantees come as close as possible to the level provided by NATO membership, believes Johann Wadefull. The head of German diplomacy called for expanding the circle of guarantor states and involving the United States and other non-European countries in this process. Reported by Larissa Petruk, UATV News.
Some strange incidents have recently involved several European leaders. One of the most recent cases occurred on Tuesday, September 2nd. The aircraft carrying Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda was unable to land immediately at Vilnius airport due to the presence of a drone nearby. According to the latest report from the Ministry of Transport, the drone had been launched for advertising purposes, but without observing the legally required time restrictions. The circumstances of the incident are now under investigation by the relevant authorities. This follows a high-profile incident involving European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen's plane in Bulgaria. Electronic warfare has become the latest front in Russia's confrontation with the West. Bulgarian Interior Minister Daniel Mitov did not rule out Russian involvement, stating Moscow denied the presence of Russian troops in Crimea, so any official statements from the Russian Federation are irrelevant. We've learned we can expect reliable information from them. We need to independently verify what is actually happening. We do too. Stay with us for more on this.
Pilots in Bulgaria had to land the plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen using paper maps, reported the Financial Times. Later, the Bulgarian Air Traffic Services Authority stated that the GPS signal was lost as the aircraft approached Plovdiv Airport in Brussels. It was suggested that the signal was likely intentionally jammed.
We can indeed confirm that there was GPS jamming, but the plane landed safely in Bulgaria. We have received information from the Bulgarian authorities that they suspect that this was due to blatant interference by Russia. We are, of course, aware and used to somehow to the threats and intimidations that are a regular component of Russia's hostile behavior. Of course, this will only reinforce even further our unshakable commitment to ramp up defense capabilities and support for Ukraine.
Ursula von der Leyen was traveling to Plovdiv as part of a tour of Eastern European countries. There, she met with Bulgarian Prime Minister Rosen Zeljazkov and visited an ammunition production facility. The European Commission president did not comment on the incident aboard the plane, but stated that Putin's agents have been conducting hybrid operations against Europe's democratic states for years.
Because one thing is very clear. Russia, the predator, has to be held accountable for what it did and has to pay for the damage and for the aggression. That has to be the principle, and therefore we are looking into an additional use of the windfall profits that are immobilized. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission.
During her diplomatic tour, Ursula von der Leyen also visited Vilnius and Warsaw. With the President of Lithuania and the Prime Minister of Poland, the European Commission President discussed strengthening the EU's eastern border, including through the use of funds from the new €150 billion Security Action for Europe Defense Fund.
Member states with a direct border with Russia and Belarus will receive additional European funding. We have also proposed a 10-fold increase in funding for military mobility, and overall a 5-fold increase in defense investment.
Moscow is conducting destabilization operations in Germany, interfering in the country's internal affairs and attempting to destabilize society, stated German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in an interview with the French TV channel LCI.
That's exactly how I see Putin. He destabilizes vast areas of our country. He interferes everywhere, especially through social media. According to our intelligence services, we know for certain that he attacks our infrastructure every day. And every day, he tries to influence public opinion. So we are already in conflict with Russia. But who is Russia fighting against? It's not about territorial claims. It's about destabilizing our democracies.
The Kremlin has launched a new large-scale information campaign in Europe. According to the Institute for the Study of War, analysts believe Moscow aims to hinder support for Kyiv and Europe's participation in peace negotiations. Previously, Putin's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov and the head of Russia's direct investment fund, Kirill Dmitriev, claimed that European states are allegedly trying to prolong Russia's war against Ukraine. Meanwhile, Deputy Chairman of Russia's Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, resorted to direct threats of nuclear strikes against France and Germany.
The Kremlin has recently been intensifying 3 rhetorical lines aimed at influencing Western decision-making in the Kremlin's favor, accusing European states of prolonging the war in Ukraine, levying nuclear threats against Western states, and claiming that Russian victory in Ukraine is inevitable, from a report by the Institute for the Study of War.
This multifaceted information campaign is needed by the Kremlin to divert Europe's attention from Russia's negligible battlefield successes. Analysts say Russia's efforts remain disproportionately limited and slow compared to its high losses. Reported by Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
In the history of Ukraine, this is the first time that an official of such high rank has been shot and killed. Andriy Parubiy, former Speaker of the Verkhovna Rada, Member of Parliament and public figure, was gunned down on the street in Lviv in August 30. By September 1st, law enforcement officials announced that no version of the case has been ruled out, but the primary line of investigation is a possible Russian connection. What's your take on all of this? Share your thoughts below. This is UATV. Stay sharp, in focus, and stay safe.